Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Natalie's Witchy Wisdom and the Purple Broom Apothecary. I am, of course, Natalie, and this week's video is on thistle. That's right, folks. Common thistle. Now, this video is going to cover every type of thistle out there. So, milk thistle, common thistle. This particular thistle looks a lot like most of the other thistles that are out there, blessed thistle and that sort of thing, but it is actually native to Texas. It is called Cirsium texana, but it's used in much the same way. I use it in place of any other kind of thistle because it's hard to get blessed thistle or milk thistle around here, but this thistle grows abundantly, especially in the springtime here in Texas. So thistle in general is what I'm going to talk about today. Now, thistle, and I'm going to put my little thistle here so you can enjoy it while I talk. Well, maybe I won't because I think the desk is stuck. There we go. Okay. Hopefully you can still see it. Okay, so there's the little thistle. Okay. Push this back there. There we go. That'll work. All right. So, thistle is a plant that is associated with masculine energies. It is associated with the planet Mars. Of course, because it is associated with the planet Mars, its elemental association is fire. Probably because when you touch the little prickles that are on the leaves here, I don't know if you can see them. Let me get up closer. There you go. This is a good one. See these little prickles right here? They burn like fire when you touch them. Trust me. You're like, ouch. It feels like you're poking yourself with 100 million little needles. They are sharp as the dickens. However, this plant is edible, and that is something that I will get to in just a minute. In terms of its general properties, the plant is one that grows primarily spring. It is one of the first foods of bees, also, along with dandelions. It's typically considered a weed. You see it growing wild on the highways around here. It has these big, beautiful purple blooms, and then when these are done blooming, these little pods here, which are not as prickly, they are kind of prickly, but not as prickly, they will blossom out and they look like gigantic dandelions. So I use them as giant wish machines come spring. As soon as the purple wears off and those fall out and then the big downy seeds come out, boy and howdy, I'm like all over the place with those suckers. Now, typically they grow on a long stalk like this. They grow up to about 2 to 3 feet in height sometimes, and you will see that there's only one flower per stem, but one stalk can have 2 or 3 stems, as you can see here. Now, in terms of magical powers, I find these extraordinarily useful for protection energy, and I will often combine them with one of these little suckers here, which I may do a video on too. Around here we call these devil's pods because they get stuck on everything. They're kind of pokey, prickly, and you certainly don't want to step on one, but they're not like this where you're like, ouch, the second you touch it. They're kind of pokey, but not too bad. But to me, these kind of have a lot of the same energies. They're very protective in nature, and so thistles are often used in hex breaking and protection spells. For hex breaking and for that sort of thing, you will often use them in poppets. So you will stuff the poppet with the thistle, and we utilize the entire plant. So all of the plant is used. The stalk, the leaves, the blossoms, and the juice is also used, just so you know. And I'll get into that in a minute because that's more a medicinal type of use. It is considered a survival food, much like dandelions. So all of those weeds you think are not useful are actually useful because, once again, the entire thing is edible. They will boil down the leaves and crush them up to get rid of the nettles, and they'll use those, or they'll cut off the nettles from the leaves. They'll remove the leaves, cut off the nettles, and use it much like you use dandelion leaves in a salad. So that's one of the things. A thistle is used to improve your mood and happiness. It's used in exorcism, and I do believe I mentioned hex breaking already, that you stuff a poppet with hex breaking. I like to hang thistle above the door. I will press the thistle much like you press roses in some wax paper to preserve the purple, because to me purple is associated with the highest spiritual color, and so to improve my mood, my aura, and to protect my office and space, I will often press thistle and put it in a talisman, or I'll put it in I'll make a talisman using a sachet bag, and I will hang it near the door. I find that thistle is good for protection in terms of it raises protective energies and strength. I also find that it keeps away people that you don't want around. So if I have somebody that's poking around that I don't particularly care for, that I don't want around, I just notice there's a little critter walking around on this sucker. I've had this like all with me all day. In any case, I will use it to keep away people that I don't want floating about my house. So, although my daughters would probably freak if they heard me say this, if there is a boyfriend about that I'm not too fond of, or a friend that I don't particularly care for, I will use thistle to keep that person away from my child or from my home. So, it's good for warding off nosy, annoying, irritating neighbors, people at work that you don't really want around you. Keep a piece of thistle around your desk. It's good stuff. Okay, now in terms of other uses, it is good for protection in terms of medicinal properties, protection of the liver. Thistle is often used to purify the liver, so you might find it in a capsule form. It's, according to Culpeper, it has multiple uses in terms of health benefits, and which party uses depends. They use the roots, they use the stalks, they use the stems, they use the leaves, they use the flowers. But Culpeper has listed benefits of thistle being for cancer treatment, for the liver particularly. It's known for lowering your bad cholesterol and raising HDL, which is the good cholesterol, especially if used as a supplement. It is just a general all-around awesome little plant, and I really love it. I love seeing thistle on the side of the road. And just as a side note, I think I mentioned in one of the previous videos, because I remember somebody making a comment about it, Jennifer Hodgson, I believe, made a comment that I mentioned that I am related to Robert the Bruce. On our family crest is a purple thistle like this, and it's cool because it's like that on the shield, so it's pretty cool. But I don't know if that's any particular reason why I'm so fond of thistle, but it's my favorite color. I like it because it looks all prickly, but it's really got a lot of good properties to it. So I relate to this plant very well, and I really like having it around, although that little critter that keeps crawling around on there, I'm not exactly sure what he is. I've never seen one before. He's very tiny. It almost looks like some sort of a worm or a beetle, but he doesn't seem to be aware of me, so he's just sort of floating about. So I'll just kind of leave him alone and hope that he's not anything that I should be concerned about, because he just seems to be tooling along on the plant. But in any case, I was going to mention the seeds. When the pods open up and you get that dandelion looking thing, people will pull that and they will often use that down. They'll crush it up in a powder and they'll make it into like a paste or a paper. I was going to mention that too, almost like a papyrus paper. But also people will use the seeds, they will roast them and eat them as a snack. So it is a general all-round good plant to have. So thistle, awesome. Watch out for the prickles. It might be intimidating to look at. Just be cautious. I would say use gloves when you're going to cut one, and of course always leave some sort of an offering. But don't cut too many because the bees need them too. So I hope that you've learned a little something from this particular video. Thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.